And JEC, glad you made it. Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live daily on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure: all Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. The focus of my presentation and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel in Discord is options, order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis, and I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis. All right, JEC says he does not hear anything. Could somebody else confirm audio? All right, so audio is good on YouTube. It should be good on Discord. Can somebody just confirm on Discord that you can hear me? Okay, so JEC, I assume you can hear me now on Discord. All right, I'm going to go on. So again, I have a two-step process for trading. The first is planning, positional analysis, and the second is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow with Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis and for setups for entries and exits. And finally, on-topic questions and comments are welcome, and I'll be watching the Options-Doug chat channel in Discord and chat in YouTube for your questions and comments. And Mark and Nicholas, thank you for the confirmation for the audio in YouTube. Okay, I think we're good to go. So what I want to cover today, first of all, quickly go over the news, economic data coming out for the week. Then I'll go through my positional analysis as well as my plan for the day. And then finally, we'll talk about some setups. So just quickly, here's an economic calendar for the week. And there is some data coming out, nothing of great significance. Tomorrow, the 28th, Tuesday the 28th, consumer confidence. And there's Fed speakers throughout the week. And then on Thursday, GDP at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, as well as jobless claims. And then Friday, this could be a bigger day, market mover, the PCE. And apparently this is what the Fed looks like. Fed focuses closely on the PCE. And then also the consumer sentiment. at 10 a.m. again on Friday. And also recall Friday is the end of the month, and that should be the date that JP Morgan rolls their collar. And remember, the 4065 call strike is the negative call on the JP Morgan collar. All right, so that is the news for the week. So let's go through our positional analysis now. And I'll start with the S&P 500. And this is the ES futures in Bookmap. And I'm going to, before I dig further into that chart, I'm going to take a look at a larger time frame, go out to 20-day 1-hour chart in Thinkorswim, and this is showing the key Spotgamma levels, just price and key Spotgamma levels. These levels are provided to Spotgamma subscribers for a variety of platforms. Here I'm showing it, showing these levels for Thinkorswim, and the key levels. There's the 3800 put wall. That's a strike with the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support. And here's the 3950 level, as well as the 3960, which is the volatility trigger, and both levels were indicated to act as support today. And then here's the 4000 key gamma strike with the largest absolute gamma, and then finally the call wall up at 4065, again the short call strike of the JP Morgan collar. All right, so that's a bigger picture view. Let's take a look at another Thinkorswim chart just for today. Again, showing SPX and levels. And this is showing the 3950 and 3960 level below here. And the 3960 is the volatility trigger. That is Spotgamma's proprietary gamma flip level. And for an index, that indicates that market makers position above this level. Market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive, indicating they have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. And below that level, their position on the gamma curve would be negative, and they have to sell futures in the direction of price to hedge their delta exposure. And then up above is the 4000 key gamma strike and also the 4008 key gamma strike. And so far today, the 4000 level has acted as resistance. And price for SPX is trading at a narrow range. Today, and I will show you a trade that is great for taking advantage of this narrow trading range. The expected trading range of the 3950-60 level expected to act as support, and the 4000 level expected to act as resistance. All right, so that is the S&P 500, the SPX, in a 20-day chart, and then a 1-day chart. And then here it is in Bookmap, showing the same. Here's the 4000 level. And note my level is now the same as what Bookmap is using. So Bookmap, Spotgamma is using a 30-point difference between ES and SPX. That's what this is showing here. This is the Spotgamma cloud notes indicating the major SPX levels. And I'm showing the same thing, noting the 4000 level as resistance in my cloud notes. And I calculated a 30-point difference between ES and SPX as well. So notice this is at ES 4030, but it's actually SPX 4000. And that level did act as resistance this morning. And I'll talk about the move lower and that was confirmed by order flow. You can see here in Bookmap, large icebergs selling as price moves up to that level, shown by the falling light blue line, sell stop orders shown by the yellow line, and then cumulative volume delta all falling down toward the ES 4000 level, and Hero confirmed that move lower, and we'll take a closer look at that in a few minutes. All right, that is the those are the levels that are in play for today. And let's talk about shifts in levels, and there were very few from Friday. So first of all, for SPY, the key gamma strike did increase from 390 to 400, and also the call wall increased from 402 to 410, and I interpret that as bullish. And then for QQQ, the key gamma strike dropped from 310 to 300, so I'm comparing Friday with today, and I interpret that as bearish. So in the case of a rising key gamma strike or call wall, that means traders are positioning themselves for higher prices in the options market. And then on the other hand, with a falling key gamma strike or other strikes we'll see with some stocks, that means that traders are positioning themselves for lower prices. They're accepting lower prices and anticipating lower prices. All right, let's take a look and see where those levels came from. So I'm going to go to the S&P 500 first. These are absolute gamma levels. This is for SPX. This is the 0 level, and these are showing market makers' position at these various strikes. Call gamma or positive gamma above, shown by the black bars. Negative gamma or put gamma below the 0 line, shown with the teal bars. And this is the 4000 key gamma strike, the strike with the largest absolute gamma that can be expected to act as support, resistance, or a magnet for price. There's the 3800 put wall, the strike with the largest net negative gamma, can be expected to act as support. And there's the 4065 level, that's the call wall, the strike with the largest absolute net positive gamma. All right, that's SPX. Let's take a look at SPY. So again, recall the SPY key gamma strike moved up from 390 to 400 today. There's the 400 strike. And the put wall remains at 390. The strike with the largest net negative gamma. And now the call wall has moved up to the 410 level from 402 on Friday. So a shift higher in levels for the S&P 500, particularly SPY. And then one thing I want to look at is the combo strikes. And this is the combining SPX and SPY. Same idea of the chart before. Gamma, positive gamma above the 0 line, negative gamma below. And then this is shown in terms of SPX numbers. And the interesting thing to note here is kind of the void between 3950 and around 4000. So put gamma below that level, 3950 level, and kind of a neutral zone, and then positive gamma above that level. All right, let's take a look at the NASDAQ now. And for NASDAQ, we'll look at QQQ. We don't, NDX is not significant. All right, so for QQQ, remember the key gamma strike dropped down to 300. And the put wall remains at 285. And the call wall, the strike with the largest net positive gamma, remains at 320. All right, so that is shows you, visually where those levels come from. Let's take a look at data. This is in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note. And I always focus on gamma notional. This is market maker's position on the gamma curve. And this left column shows SPX. The middle column is SPY. And the far right column is QQQ. And note, again, this is market maker's position on the gamma curve for all these indices, and they're all negative, indicating that traders are long puts, market makers are short puts, and they have to hedge in the direction of price to hedge their delta exposure. So as price falls, they have to sell futures, and as price increases and implied volatility drops, they can buy back their short futures. So still fairly negative for SPX and SPY, and really neutral here for QQQ. And these levels did shift higher. They became less negative than Friday. So for SPX, gamma notional on Friday was minus 453. Today it's minus 231. For SPY it was minus 1952. And today it has become less negative at minus 1486. And QQQ was minus 102, and today it's minus 27. So all became less negative today. All right, JEC really significant, less negative overall. This is important to look at every day, understand at the beginning of the day how market makers are positioned on the gamma curve. And then finally, I normally look at the Vanna charts, but they're kind of wonky today. So I'm just going to skip over that, and I'm going to go to my key gamma strike list. And this is, so the planning, everything that I've showed so far is just for the indices, the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. And I also do planning and preparation for stocks as well. And this is the first part of my planning and preparation for stocks. And these are all the stocks on my watch list. I don't have all of these up in Bookmap on my May computer, but I've decided I want to track all of these stocks, mostly large cap tech stocks, and I track the key gamma strike from the previous day. That's shown, and that's from Friday, shown in the E column, the far right column, and then the current key gamma strike is for today. That's in the D column, and I compare the numbers and I color code those. Green indicating that that number increased from the previous day, and red indicating that the number decreased from the previous day. So these numbers are important, and there are a couple of ways of approaching this. You can just take these numbers on face value and trade based on that, or do further investigation. And when I get to the setup for NVIDIA, I'll take a look at Equity Hub and look how you could do further investigation and see that there were some additional levels. The key daily levels is what I look at. The put wall, the call wall, the key gamma strike, the hedge wall, and sometimes the key delta strike. But really there are 4 key daily levels that I look at. Okay, so given this, my thesis for the day, my plan for the day was basically bearish tech. So what I was looking at was, and then I guess potentially looking for a a shift from tech to financials. Maybe traders, tech has been very strong recently. Maybe traders taking profits in tech and then shifting into financials. But when tech is weak, it's hard for the S&P. These stocks play such a big role in the S&P 500. It's hard for the S&P 500 to rally with all the tech stocks being lower. But anyway, my main thesis was looking for bearish setups in NVIDIA, QQQ, and the other one was Meta. And I look at, this is just a starting point again, and I look at, let's just go to Equity Hub, and you can see what I'm talking about. As part of my prep for trading stocks, this is something that I look at, and here I have NVIDIA shown, and this is the history for the last 10 days. So the history of the key daily levels for the last 10 days. I'm looking at YouTube. Karma FX says it's blurry on YouTube. All right, JC, thank you for your help. It looks like he helped Karma FX fix the problem. Okay, great. Thanks again, JEC. All right, so what I'm looking at here, NVIDIA. So first thing I noticed in the key gamma strike list, I noticed that key gamma strike did decrease, and pretty good drop down from 270 to 250. So that is one bearish signal. And the hedge wall also dropped. That's another bearish signal. Now I see the key gamma call wall did increase, and that's bullish. But then on the other hand, the put wall decreased from 265 to 240. So overall, my thesis for the day for NVIDIA was bearish. And then let's take a look at Meta also. And the thing that I noticed about Meta was this drop in the call wall. So not as bearish as NVIDIA, but still bearish. And I saw a divergence, a very strong divergence in Hero, a bearish divergence in Hero this morning. And I posted that in Discord, and that led to a good short in Meta. All right, so that is how I do further investigation, further planning for stocks. All right, so let's take a look at some setups. And let's start with the S&P 500 here. I'm going to zoom in. And what this is showing is a combined signal for options trades for SPX and SPY. The white line is price. The purple line is Hero. That's the hedging impact of real-time options, showing, again, options trades in SPX and SPY. And the direction is in terms of delta. And it's showing a delta notional value. And this is showing that traders are taking negative delta positions. And in the morning, there was a very strong confirmation between Hero and price action. And recall from the Bookmap chart, we saw that large traders were selling icebergs, selling with iceberg orders. Traders that trades that large traders use to hide their size, and sell stop orders were helping to fuel the move lower, as well as aggressive sellers shown with cumulative volume delta And then now we can see that traders were taking negative delta positions. They were buying puts and or selling calls, and most likely they were both actually buying calls and buying puts, but buying more puts than calls. So we can just check that real quick. That's typically the case. And yeah, so notice and let's just zoom in on this a little bit so we can see the values from the morning down to about 11 o'clock. So this notional value for the puts minus 1.31 billion versus positive 581 million. So they were buying puts more aggressively than they were buying calls. And this is typical of the S&P 500. So the put buyers were winning in the morning. And let's go back to Bookmap now. I'm going to zoom in. On the morning. So we know that traders again were taking negative delta positions. And you can clearly see the shift in order flow here. Note the shift from green dots, market buy orders, aggressive buyers, to pink dots, right at the resistance level, 4,000, just above that level. And then a series of lower highs, and finally a break below VWAP. And several liquidity targets below, the primary being at the ES 4000 level. And again, everything confirming. Stops, iceberg, CVD, all heading lower. All right, so that's the S&P 500. The only thing missing there was the bullish thesis. But again, like I said at the beginning, I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Hero to confirm my thesis, and neither of those confirmed confirmed a bullish thesis. So given that, the play this morning was definitely bearish. And let me just show you a couple of other approaches, keeping in mind that this 4,000 level was noted as resistance, and this 3960 level was noted as support. And an excellent way to play this today was with 0 DTE butterflies. And I have, this may be difficult to see, I have, these are simulated trades. This is something that I just learned about, and I'm experimenting, doing simulated trades before I actually trade this with live capital. This is SPX, so there is some risk there. And these are butterfly trades. I'm going to take off. This is just the first one. And this is something that I actually put on Friday afternoon for today's expiration. Notice these are all 27 March. And this costs $6.20 for a 30, the wings are 30 points wide on each side. And I learned this from Tasty Live. I don't know, probably many of you are familiar with Tasty Trade. They changed their name to Tasty Live now, and they have had a recent series on 0 DTE options, different trades, and this butterfly is one of them. This and this paid off quite well. And notice the range The break even here is at 39.50 on the downside and 39.95, 39.94 on the upside. So that covers most of the trading range for today. So that was one that was just put on Friday at the close. Again, a simulated trade. And if I just closed it, simulated close before I went on today. And then here's another one put on today and noted it was a bit more expensive, a little over $1,000. And here it's trading at a profit of $600, $700. And the break-evens are at 39.60 and 4,000. Let's just spread this out a bit. So right in the middle there, just so something to keep in mind, and I highly recommend Tasty Live watching their Zero DTE series. All right, so that's an alternative for the SPX. All right, so let's get to the stocks that I had on my my short list today. And the first was Meta. And this is one that I posted in Discord. Let's go take a look at Hero. Here's Meta. Zoom in. And this is what I saw this morning. And a setup like this for me is hard to resist. Actually, let's draw it here first, and then it continues down. So the purple line again is Hero, negative delta positions. And then price follows a few minutes later. Just a beautiful divergent setup. All right, let me check for questions. Okay, nothing that I need to respond to. All right, JEC in Discord says he'll link the playlist later. I assume that's for Tasty Live. Again, highly recommended. And especially with the information that's available from Spotgamma and Bookmap, seeing those levels and then understanding there's an alternate strategy to play that range is huge. All right, so that's Meta. Let's go back to Bookmap. Nice short setup. And it took a while for these short setups to play out today. A lot of chop up until about 10:30, and then finally Meta breaks lower. Let's just zoom in on this. So finally Meta breaks lower with a strong drop below VWAP there. Notice falling CVD as well as Hero. Falling CVD, and we saw the falling Hero. Again, it chopped around for a while and finally broke below the 205 level in VWAP. And notice the strong move lower with aggressive sellers finally selling. All right, so there's a question in RJ asking Meta, was it put buying for that drop? And let's take a look. So we'll go back to Hero. Let's zoom in again. We'll separate out puts and calls. So both, but primarily calls driving. Let's zoom in a little bit until about noon. So this is minus about 49 million here. Actually, let me point to it just a little bit easier. Minus 48 million versus minus 13 million. So traders are and were buying puts and selling calls, but calls were the primary driver. All right, so that was the first stock on my watch list for a short setup. That played out. And RJ asked, do you take more note if a down move starts with call selling versus put buying? And I'm generally looking at the total signal. But I would think if traders continue to buy puts, so when you sell a call, there's only, there's a limit to how much you can make. And well, let's actually, I just take, I just look at the total signal generally. But I would, in an up move, I would generally give more credence to buying calls and a down move buying puts. So again, when you sell a call, there's a limited profit potential. But when you buy a put, market makers, if price continues lower, they'll have to continue to sell stock to hedge their delta exposure. All right, so that's Meta. Now let's go to NVIDIA. And this one was not quite as clear. It did take a while to play out. Let's go to Bookmap. Actually, let's zoom in on this. And again, we looked at an equity hub, so based on that, I had a bearish thesis for the day. All right, so let's go take a look at Bookmap now for NVIDIA. And again, it took about an hour for this to play out. NVIDIA started making lower highs. And again, just like Meta, CVD was bearish pretty much from the open. More pink dots than green dots. And there was a reversal at around the 269 level and then the 268 level at VWAP. And then price made a sharp move lower down to the liquidity at 265 and then down to 264. All right, so that's NVIDIA. That was the second stock on my watch list that I had a specific plan for. And then let's take a look at QQQ. And a pretty similar down move. Again, it took about an hour for this to really play out and become evident. Let's go take a look at Hero. And I'm going to zoom in on this. Actually, let me fix that. So let's go take a look at Hero for QQQ. And bearish for QQQ, falling Hero, negative delta positions up until about noon, confirming the move lower. Let's go back to Bookmap. Note falling CVD. You can see the pink dots coming in there. Notice also the sell sweeps, all the sell sweeps. Those are shown. That is the there are two indicators that I have on the chart here: the sweeps indicator and the absorptions indicator. Oops. And the small red dots here with this red number, that's sweeps, sell sweeps. That's bearish. Sell sweep, sell sweep, sell sweep. Along with the traders taking negative delta positions shown by Hero, and then the falling CVD, all the pink dots there, that's definitely bearish. Reversal at any one of these lower highs. There's CVD, there's a trend break at the 311 level, and then target, primary target down on the 309 volatility trigger. All right, let's take a look at some other stocks. So those are the three ones that I had circled with red for a bearish setup. And Abacus asks, hey Doug, do you have instructions how to set up the 0 DTE butterfly trade? And I got that from Tasty Live. They do talk about that. That is one trade that Tom Sosnoff has been doing, and JEC put the link in above for the YouTube playlist for Tasty Live. So take a look at that. That's where I got the idea. That comes from Tom Sosnoff at Tasty Live. Highly recommended. All right, so here's Apple. Another bearish setup, making lower highs. Let's take a look at Hero for Apple. Took a while to play out, but here is a nice short setup. Somewhat of a divergence here with a sharp drop in Hero right here. And then price follows a few minutes later. So that's about 10:15, 10:20. So the drop in Hero comes at 10:10, and then price starts to move lower at about 10:25. All right, so let's go take a look at Bookmap again. So remember, we're looking for this reversal lower at about 10:22. Let's zoom in on the morning. And so there's the reversal lower at VWAP there. then a retest of the 160 key gamma strike, and then falling to the price levels below. All right, so there's a question about VWAP. All right, so let's go to QQQ. All right, so first of all, I have data that starts at 4 a.m. So when I start up Bookmap in the morning, I make sure that I have all available data for the day. Then let's take a look at VWAP settings. So I'm just right-clicking on VWAP. And this is all I have. So my start is at 4 a.m. Eastern Time. And with stocks, if you have DX feed, this data is provided. I think they provide up to 24 hours of data. You know, of course, actually I could probably go back and if it was Tuesday, I could go back and retrieve all the data from Monday if I wanted to, and I've done that before. If there's a large move after hours or something and I want to show that. Otherwise, I just start my data at 4 a.m. And this this VWAP typically matches my trading platforms like Thinkorswim. It's usually at about the same level. Okay, so that was Apple. Here's AMD. And let's go take a look at Hero. And notice all the green dots there. Even if the price is falling. This is one reason that for AMD, I really don't look at CVD. It's often moving in the opposite direction of price, and that's typical of AMD. All right, let's go take a look at Hero. And not quite as clear a setup, a confirmation. And for AMD, the only key daily level that I had moving lower was the hedge wall. And by the way, for Apple, both the hedge wall and put wall moved lower, and the call wall moved higher compared with Friday. All right, so that is AMD. We can take a look at Amazon. And a stronger confirmation, definitely setting up a short around 11 a.m. Notice, let's zoom in on this. Hero falling. Price remains level, then starts to drop. Well, it looks like about 20 minutes later. Let's go take a look at Bookmap for Amazon. So here's this consolidation that we just saw on. Oops, wrong tool. The consolidation as Hero was dropping, and then notice, I'm going to zoom in on this. So we can see this a little bit more clearly. Notice in this consolidation, finally, more pink dots coming in, and then price really starts to move lower. And there was one other setup here, this reversal lower at the 99 level, and also VWAP, leading to this consolidation, then a continuation of the move lower. And this was, if you were looking for a clear signal in Hero, this second break lower was the best entry. All right, let's take a look at Microsoft. And very nice short setup here in Microsoft. Notice this break of this wedge here at VWAP, and preceded by a sell sweep. Let me zoom in on this. So notice two sell sweeps here. I'm looking at the small, very small, bright red dots. Sell sweeps. Then finally a break lower out of this wedge pattern at VWAP. Let's go take a look at Hero and see what options traders were doing. And Microsoft. Again, it took a while to play out, but Hero definitely shifted negative. Around 10:15, something like that. And then price responded lower. And that was also definitely confirmed with order flow as shown on Bookmap. All right, so there's a comment on YouTube. Somebody is looking to go long Microsoft. Let's just take a look. Let's zoom out. I would not. Options traders aren't options traders aren't with you. I would look for an increase in Hero. I would look for traders to start buying calls. So far they are selling calls and buying puts. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. All right, so for today, the play in Microsoft, I think, was this short setup that I just showed. It may be trying to move higher. It looks like it's just consolidating to me. And there's no confirmation from Hero. Let's take a look. I see a lot of pink dots as well. No confirmation from CVD. Aggressive sellers continue to dominate. All right, that's Microsoft. Let's take a look at Tesla. So there's Tesla and Bookmap. Short setup. And let's go take a look at Hero. All right, EH and YouTube, what's your basis for a long setup in Microsoft? is it a level where you think for some reason it would be a buy? I don't see any real thesis for long. There's a slight increase in Hero here. But again, the best play so far today was the short. All right, let's take a look at Tesla. And as usual, there's a pretty strong correlation confirmation between hedging flow and price action. At least there was for the morning session. Tesla has been pretty choppy lately. I found it recently a little bit more difficult to trade. So let's go take a look at Bookmap for Tesla. And the play so far today has been a short setup. Let's go back and take a look at Hero. Let's break this out, puts and calls. So really the good short setup started with these lower highs in Hero here at about 10:15. All right, let's go take a look at Bookmap again. I'm going to zoom in. And there's the short setup about 10:15. Somewhere, oops, wrong tool, sorry. And a break below VWAP. All right, E8 says it's not an order flow reasoning, it's a technical off a level, and I use positional analysis. I don't look at technical levels on charts, whatever that is. And he says he's just curious about the accuracy of options traders. And the idea behind options traders is they're driving market makers. So market makers, when traders are buying calls, market makers are selling the calls. They have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. That's going on all day long. Market makers are constantly hedging in all these stocks, and I think I've shown time after time that there's a strong correlation between options trades and market maker hedging flow and price action. And Sheena at 2005 asked, what is positional analysis? And that's just what I've been talking about for the first. Go back and take a look at the recording for the first 30 minutes. I'm talking about positional analysis, and I'm looking at how market makers, traders and market makers are positioned to the options market, how those positions change today from day to day to develop a thesis. So that's positional analysis as opposed to technical analysis, looking at something that happened yesterday or last week or last year. I'm looking at how market makers or how traders, what they expect. The options trades and how traders are positioning themselves in the options market, and how market makers are responding is about expectations. I think it's forward-looking rather than technical analysis, which is backward-looking. Looking back in time, I'm trying to look forward in time and seeing what traders, how they're positioning, what they expect. So that's positional analysis. And I use Spotgamma for my data, and I highly recommend just going to the Spotgamma YouTube channel, watching some of their videos, watching my videos. The recordings are archived on the Bookmap YouTube channel, and I show a practical use of this data every day in setups that I talk about. And I think, again, positional analysis is a new way of looking at the market, new for many people, and I think it's provides a significant edge over more traditional approaches. You know, if you want to gain an edge, you have to look at something that not a lot of other people are looking at, figure out something new, and I think that's what this is. All right, EH, great, here to learn. Thanks for your explanation. You're welcome. And just take your time. This is something that's new. It may take a while to learn and incorporate in your own strategy. Again, it's a new way of looking at the market. And I showed today how I use that information for great setups in Meta, NVIDIA, and QQQ, and then how also the order flow and hedging flow did not confirm my thesis in ES, but the butterfly trade that I talked about, incorporating the expected range for the day, did work out great. And then also, if you were just watching order flow and hedging flow in the S&P 500, I think somebody posted about buying puts in SPY. That would have been great, or selling futures, selling SPY shares. So positional analysis, order flow, and hedging flow provided the information for all those setups. All right, my time is up. Hopefully I've answered all your questions. I want to thank you very much for your questions and comments, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks again. Bye.